Start by taking off the skid plate. There's quite a few bolts here. Just this plastic, I don't know if it's a skid plate, dust cover. And I want to see what's going on up under there anyways. It's a good idea to have a peek while you're underneath here. It gives you better access. So take off a few of these bolts and we'll go from there. There's a group of the items you'll need. 10 mil to take off the dust skid plate. You got some oil. Got our M1 108A oil filter. You got your crushed gasket. Oil wrench if you need it. Hopefully you didn't tighten it too much and you can do it by hand. Got our socket. And so we'll go take off that skid plate. Got a couple of these here, all along the front, a couple in the middle. These are all 10 mil. Easiest if you have a little impact driver with a 10 mil on it. And I'm going to start pulling those off. And it falls on your face. Get it out. Gently like that. And then you can start looking your oil. Put that extra one back in that you didn't need to take out. And by you, I mean me. It's very easy to see what you have going on under here once that plate is off. So you have a 14 mil drain plug, and you have access to your oil filter right here, which is nice. On this car, I actually had to replace, and I think it's pretty common on a lot of them, it's not very expensive, on the back of his, not on the oil filter, but on the back of the this bracket here, you have another big gasket under there, and that started leaking. And everybody, they were trying to charge a ton of money for replacing some main seal and all blah, 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 this, which could be leaking as well, but it's not bad. The leak was coming from here on your driveway, so that only costs a few dollars. You can get it at Nissan, actually. Just a little tip. All right, it's good to have a peek up underneath here, see what's going on. But this car is so old, I wouldn't be worth sinking a ton of money into it, so basic maintenance is what we're doing now. We're going to slide our drip pan under here so we can drain some oil. Start by grabbing the filter. I didn't get it too tight last time, which is good. A little bit of that drain out. Let that drain so it gets out of your way, stops dripping so much, and then you'll crack loose your drain plug. Alright, it's not too bad. A little windy, blowing the oil over the place. So, get a couple of hands on this one. Crack this loose. Hopefully you can aim. It's always fun cleaning this up afterwards if you miss. There we are. Make sure your crush washer is on there, which it is. So you might need to get a little poker or screwdriver to pry that off. Shouldn't be too bad. And then you're going to get your new one that you have there ready to go. So we'll let this drip and drain and we'll get the new one on here. rather than a screwdriver, you can just grab this thing and it screws off through the threads. It's easier than trying to pry it because it's pretty snug on here. And she's pancaked a little bit. You chuck that one, and you got your new one ready to go. You can see this type compresses down and gets flat. So just goes on. And then that one's ready to crush back on when our oil finishes draining. So it's always good to check to make sure your filter's the same or similar. Make sure that gasket's in there. On your new one you're going to put on, just take a little bit of that oil, make sure it doesn't seize on there. That's why it was easy enough for me to take it off this time by hand. And wipe this down just a little bit for the excess. The excess. And you want to put this on, give it a, don't get it too crazy tight, but enough so we're not leaking. And that was enough last time to make it so we could take it off by hand. And once we're done dribbling here, a couple minutes, we'll put our plug back in. All right, we're basically almost done dripping. Close enough. A couple drips isn't going to hurt anything. Get our drain plug back in. Crush down that gasket and we'll fill up some more oil in there. Time to fill up some oil. We'll get our trusty funnel in there. Takes 5 quarts. This beautiful stuff. We're gonna put 1030 in here. Older car calls for probably 530, but she was using a little bit of oil before. Like I said earlier, I replaced that extra gasket there behind the oil filter, and that seemed to help, but still old. 1030. Let's get 5 quarts in there. We'll start with 4, we'll start it, check the oil, and then we'll put the last one up the top, but it took 5 quarts last time. 2. 3. Ooh, we got a good whistle on that one. 4. Double whistle. All right, we have 4 quarts in there. We'll start it. Make sure there's no leaks down here. Let it run for about a minute. Check for leaks. Might want to grab yourself a light. It's always fun to try and figure out how to put it back in that hole. You know what I'm talking about. It's a very strange setup on this one. Alrighty. So, looks like the level's right down here. We're just about a quart low. We're going to probably add that entire 5th quart. There's no reason it shouldn't be the same amount as last time, but it's always good to check. Number 5. Time to put back on your skid dust plate. So that's just in reverse, your entire pile of 10 mil bolts there. And I'll see you when we lower the car. So we're gonna jack this up a little bit. Take our jack stands, floor stands out from underneath. You're gonna leave your 2x4s there until you get the jack stands out and this floor jack out. Otherwise, you'll take them out prematurely and all of a sudden your jack's gonna get stuck under the car. We're gonna lower this gently. You'll be sitting on your 2x4s. Back off your 2x4s and your oil change is done. This is where you do your final check, where you're level, top off with the last half-quarter quart. Should take about 5, and that's it. Check our level here. Looks like we're right at the top mark.